Today, I'm sitting down with Tom, a serial entrepreneur who's built something incredible. A business designed to launch products and brands on Amazon like a well-oiled machine. He's currently running 3 successful FBA brands, all managed by his team. In this interview, Tom shares why delegation was the key to scaling and how a small team can create incredible results. His approach is all about efficiency, growth, and staying focused on the big picture. If you are looking for practical insights to optimize and scale your business, you are going to love this conversation. Let's jump in. Welcome, Tom. I'm happy that we finally got a chance to do this. So, you are currently growing 3 different brands. So, if you can tell us, how did you get to this point?
Okay, nice to be on here, Michael. So yeah, true indeed. Today I'm running 3 brands with a small team. How did I get there? So long story short, I started as a marketplace manager for a Belgian home textile brand. There I got in touch with selling on Amazon. I found a partner in Germany, husband and wife that ran a seller business, 7 figures. So that was my eye opener, I would say. That was 2012, 13. Started an agency, first Amazon marketplace agency in Belgium. Amazon wasn't in Belgium yet, so nobody understood what I was doing. After COVID, everybody understood why I did it. So we grew rapidly with a team of 10 people. And doing the agency business, it came to me more and more that I really enjoyed it, that I got frustrated from clients not really doing what I told them to do, advice. So I created my own company with one of my customers, with one of my clients in the agency, and started building Amazon brands.
Mm-hmm. And now, when you transition to actually launching and building your own brands, I know that you are not hands on as most sellers that tend to do everything themselves. You actually build a team to help you run all of these and grow all of these businesses. So, how did you get to that point where you decided, okay, I actually need the team because I aim big?
Yeah, so I think that's really understanding how you work yourself, you know, what thrives me, what motivates me myself. And it came clear to me quite early that I'm a big fan of starting things. You know, I get a kick from creating something new. I like to go fast and on the way, you know, fix what's not working. But I'm also a big fan of scaling. So I don't like to start things because if I would like the agency business, if I would have wanted to make more money faster, I would have become a freelancer. But I understood that, okay, the key of success is in scaling. So I wanted people in the team, I wanted to grow a team. And that's the same mindset I have with the Amazon businesses. Um, if I would really be focused on doing it as good as possible, I think I would only have one brand running it myself. But for me, the scaling is in having the 3 brands and having the team. So it's about the mindset. What do you like? What do you don't like? Or what you're not so good at? Systems and really maintaining systems isn't my strength. I like to set it up, but I know if I just an example, I think I tested 3 or 4 Amazon seller tools because they came to me with something new and I was like, wow, looks nice. Let's try it. Let's test it. And then 3 months later, let's go back to the original one. And then after a while, the team said, Tom, stop changing the tools because, you know, we can't work this way.
Mhm. So, based on my understanding, you launch the brand, you get it off the ground, and then you hand it over to your team to basically keep it going and keep it growing.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, with bumps along the way. I came to understand also, and that's really what I know now. You need to create a certain basis, foundation, and then you can let a young team grow it. So
Mhm.
what I like to do is I like to work with young people. I call them young potentials, young smart people with not so much experience, which is an advantage and a disadvantage. And I like to give them a lot of ownership and just, you know, run it. I'll hand you the tools if you need help, if you need tools or people to train, do it. But you can't do that too early because if you give them something too early in the process, it's not stable enough.
Mhm.
So you need to give them a solid foundation.
Yeah. So did you start by building the team and then actually building the brands with them right away, or the other way around?
I started with a very, very small team, 1 people, 2 people. found an ID, found a supplier, created a brand, launched first product with the team already. But I was still the one, pushing. So not so much in systems, I would say, but more like, okay, I found a great product. I did my research and it's probably somewhere out there in one of the files or one of the tools. But believe me, trust me, this is a good product. Let's launch it.
Hmm.
And then you hand over the product, and after a while, they start making processes around the product which is live and which is generating data turnover, so they can build systems around that.
Hmm. A lot of sellers I talk to struggle handing accountability to someone else because they believe like people don't do the thing as well as I do it. But it seems that you have no problem doing that.
But the truth is, it's often true, right? You often say, I would do it better. I wouldn't have gone out of stock because if I saw on Friday afternoon that the product went out of stock or was going to go out of stock, I would have made a shipment on Saturday, etc., etc. But that's true. And if you strongly believe that, you shouldn't hand it over and you should keep it to yourself. But that conflicts with, if you want to scale, you can't keep doing everything yourself. So um, and I think how well everything goes is also based on how you organize, what's your system, what's your support. But it's the mindset, you know, um, you have to cope with it.
Yeah. You mentioned that you hire young talent, people with potential. So, how do you find these people and how do you evaluate whether they have the potential or not?
Yeah, so I mean, I myself, I have a broad background also in studies. I studied economics. So when you're 22, 23 and you graduate, you actually know everything and you can't do anything. So you have no practical experience. And then it's really a thing of, what's your mindset? Do you want to grow? Do you want to learn? And that's also how I look for people, how I hire people here in Belgium. Young people that say, okay, I don't know it today, but I'm willing to learn it, and I'm a fast learner.
Hmm. So, you hire people from universities or where do you actually find them?
Yeah, so it started actually in my agency because agency is a people business, so your hires are extremely crucial. And I found a particular person who was a headhunter, and she actually found these people. So people around me said I was crazy working with a headhunter, charging me 6, 7 Ks per person for a graduate one. But in the end, of the 10 people we hired, I think 8 or 9 stayed. So I prefer to spend a bit money on good people hired by a professional because I'm not an HR specialist. I didn't
Hmm.
study psychology. I like a lot of people, and I'm an easy one to convince, I think. So I worked with somebody else, and then growing the business today, I got a lot of good input from Tomer. His idea of creating a pyramid where you put
Hmm.
um, young people, smart people in Belgium close by, and you support them with another level of people in the Philippines.
Hmm. So, what about the current size of your team? If you can walk us through the size of the team and their roles in the business.
Yeah, so one of the brands is being run by a founder. So he's a senior experienced guy, and he has 2 people in Belgium and then 4 VAs. That's for one of the brands. And then the other 2 brands are co-founded by me and my partner. And we are, yeah, managing, I would say,
Mhm.
with 2 people in Belgium, split up in operations and marketing and branding, supported again by VAs. We're in the same offices, so we have cross learnings, cross insights, and we share also a lot of insights on the team in the Philippines, the VAs. We even sometimes share VAs. Mornings they work for this brand, afternoons they work for that brand. So scaling.
Hmm. Hmm. And in terms of delegation and management, I know that you are not hands-on the day-to-day operations. Your team is managing that. So, what is your role exactly in the business right now, and how much are you involved in the business?
Yeah. So in terms of structure, we have a weekly recap meeting Wednesday afternoon. So we've set up one meeting where we want to go through everything that happened last week and that we're planning to do this week. So that's our weekly fixed checkup moment with the Belgium team, right? I don't check in with the VAs. I check in with the young potentials, I would say, in Belgium. Um, where I get my kick from and where I feel that young people still struggle is really deciding on new product launches. So what I still do hands-on is looking in the market, looking at the data. I'm using several tools, and yeah, if I see a product and I feel okay, this is a good one, or we need a new supplier, or we have an existing supplier, but I'm the one saying, okay, let's order, let's do this, because I see that there's so much data today. There's always a reason not to order a product, right? And young people that are employees, they're afraid to say, okay, I want to order this, and if it fails, yeah, they fear that something bad will happen to them, which never happened, but still. So there I need to, yeah, make the decision.
So you are the one driving the growth of the business at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I remember once we talked and you mentioned that you want to build a business that builds brands, right? That it's not just an Amazon business, but you actually want to build a machine that builds, not only launches new products, but actually launches new brands. So if you can tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, I think that idea came also from yeah, the creating the brands originally came from let's start an FBA aggregator business. Same like a lot of people, the Tracios and the Stellar X's. I was active at that time. I was an entrepreneur, so I said this looks like a good idea. I acquired a brand in the US, and it didn't work. I didn't feel a connection with the brand. The team didn't manage it. We didn't find any new products. So, just buying and flipping brands, difficult. I think today the situation shows, of course, in combination with the economics, that it's indeed a difficult thing. So I felt, okay, let's create something from zero, from scratch, which we really feel connected with, and yeah, let's see where we can bring it. And we're also working with an advisory board here on our company, and they're also challenging us like, okay, where do you want to bring it? And more they say you should try to bring it one step further, not sell it too early, not flip it just.
hmm So at the moment, you have three brands. Are you planning to bring new brands and launch new brands, or is it now mostly about like product expansion, marketplace expansion?
Yeah, so now it's more in the expansion phase, because if I would start new brands, then we would need to hire more people. And the fun thing today is that the people we have are really good. So I prefer, just to give them now space, just to go more into depth, more marketplaces, and not again give them too much work because they can't handle extra brands. So um,
hmm
it's also timing wise, you need to stay realistic. I know from myself that I tend to go a bit too fast. So sometimes you also have to pace a bit.
hmm hmm So since you want your team to stay with you for the long run, so how do you incentivize them to actually get aligned with your vision and stay on board and not leave and start their own business or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's about, setting goals, communicating about the goals, and checking in with your goals. Um, as a founder, I think naturally you know where you want to go, but as an employee, you don't always know or feel where the founder wants to go. So by really writing down, okay, what's the goal for 3 years? What's the goal for 1 year? Which is of course always a bit, blurry or vague. But then also saying, okay, what are the weekly or the monthly KPIs? And definitely in Amazon business, you need people, or you definitely need some people in the team that are sales driven, that thrive on what was the turnover of last week, how many products did we launch? Because for me, in Amazon business, an organization is crucial, but growth is what really moves the needle.
hmm So you mentioned KPIs. How do you incentivize your team to actually try and hit those KPIs and meet your expectations?
For us, I mean, in Belgium, yeah, if you get a certain wage, a certain salary, we created a system where they know which KPIs they need to reach every 6 months if they want to grow in terms of salary. So that's described. They have KPIs to grow every level, a little bit like in the consultancy sector. If you start with one of the big four, or you start at this level, after 6 months you get an evaluation, and you already know which car you'll be driving in 3 years, and which salary you'll have in 3 years. Young
hmm
people, in Belgium, young people they want to have such a path, and at the same time, we also incentivize them with a flexible reward based on sales, which is a
Hmm.
personal choice if you want to do it or not. We decided to do this.
Mm. And have you ever hired someone where it just didn't work out and you had to replace them?
Of course, yeah. Um, I think for me personally, if you're in a small team, you really need people that are motivated. And when you see that somebody has lost motivation for whatever reason, yeah, you can't just leave it that way. You have to do something. But I've never had problems parting from somebody. So it's always been in a good way, I would say. Um, that's also important, I think.
Hmm. And I'm also curious, what does your typical day look like in the office, and how do you operate, like to get a little bit better idea of your schedule as a business owner?
Yeah. So for me, on a weekly basis, the only certainty is the weekly recap meeting. That's something that's fixed in my calendar. That's something I try to keep, available all times. Um, Rest of the time, but that's also a bit personal how I work. I like to see, okay, where can I really make an impact? I'm a big fan of the whole Eisenhower matrix in time management, where I'm assuming, ABCD tasks, urgent tasks, non-urgent tasks, and then, tasks that really change something. And I like to always find blocks in my schedule where I do things that are important but not urgent, because
Hmm.
that's really how you change businesses, how you grow businesses. Only by chasing your email or inbox, yeah, everybody be happy that they get a reply from you, but you're not really working to grow your company or to on the strategy side. So um, I try to look what's really important this week.
Hmm. Hmm. And have you ever considered hiring a general manager or COO to replace you in this role where you are right now?
Yeah, I mean, where it was really relevant, for example, was the agency. There, yeah, we grew to 50 people, so then you need middle management. But then I also understood, there and then a middle manager, and then that was for me too much layers. So that's also why I got the opportunity to exit, and I exited in the agency. It really outgrew me. It became too big, and yes, you need it, but no, I'm more of I like to be an entrepreneur. Um, can you put somebody like a CEO in place? Of course you can, but of course you also need to be realistic. What does a marketplace business generate in terms of profit and turnover? Um,
Hmm.
and that's today, I think, for a lot of people, a challenge is balancing between what does it make in terms of profit and how many people can you put on the payroll.
Hmm. Yeah. So you are now keeping the team small on purpose, and you rather try to figure out how to make it more efficient and keep the business running and growing with a small but efficient team.
Yeah, and also the brands that we're talking about today, they're pure Amazon and bol.com, the Dutch marketplace. They're
Hmm.
pure only active on these marketplaces. So we should be able to run it in a lean and mean way. Otherwise, I think we're doing something wrong. We're over engineering it. I mean, um, it's if you start with a web shop, if you start with B2B, I know people who do it. One of my partners is doing it with another brand. Then you need a bigger team, then you need more people. But for marketplace business, yeah, I think you really should try to keep it lean and mean.
Hmm. Hmm. And we worked together on this by systemizing the business and bringing processes in. So at what point did you realize that you actually need to do this, that things are kind of getting chaotic and out of hand?
Yeah, you feel it in small things, right? Some files are just hitting the limits, and it's difficult to really pinpoint one thing. But then there are multiple signals that you say, okay, we can't keep moving if we want to grow. Um, uh, Same with systems and people. You can grow a team of 10 people. At Amazon, they say the pizza team, right? You create teams that can eat one pizza. Um, there's a truth behind it, At a certain level in terms of products or in terms of people, you need processes. You need people in place. You need systems, and as an entrepreneur, I think you just feel it. Like, okay, we can maybe keep up for a couple months, But you'll also see it in the figures. When the sales is stagnating, when new products aren't being launched anymore, then you're hitting a limit. And then you need to think, okay, do we need to put more people in place, or do we need to put systems in place?
Mhm. It seems that you have like no problem to actually work on the business and see it as something that needs to be optimized with people bringing in. And I think that's something where a lot of people struggle to actually let go and bring someone new on board and even think about the business more as a machine in terms of systems and processes. So what advice would you give to entrepreneurs who might want to get in your position when they are leading the business and being the visionaries driving growth, but they feel stuck because they didn't go through this transition yet?
I think it's how you think about your business. And sometimes people, they see their business as a hobby, as their baby, as a hobby, but they want to run it as a business. And these things conflict. Or you see it as a hobby and you do it yourself and you accept that it'll reach a certain size and it stay that way. And it's fine if you really choose for it. If I say I'm a big fan of running, and now I have my own small brand of t-shirts, running t-shirts, and I just want to use it and samples, etc., etc. It's fine. If you choose really that's the way I want to do it, great. If you're happy, do it. But if you say I want to create a running brand and I want to compete with On and this and that, then you have to say, okay, it's no longer a hobby. So you have to take a certain distance, also emotionally, and say, now I have to manage it. I have to run my business. And it's not because I like running that it stays my hobby. You have to separate these things. And I think that's sometimes where people conflict. They see their product as their baby and they don't want to hand their baby over to somebody else to educate it. Whereas you can still steer the education, but you're not doing it every day. You're not feeding your baby every day, giving the bottles. You're using a team.
Mhm. So you recommend building the business based on the vision they have for it, whether it's the team or the size of the business.
Yeah, I think it also reflects a bit in do you have an advisory board, right? For me, it sounds like a detail, but having an advisory board is really asking people, how should I manage? How should I run it? How should I grow it? Because you don't start an advisory board if you want to keep it small. I don't think if you have a hobby, so with the agency, we were two people and I had an advisory board. With the private label brands, we had 0 brands. We had an advisory board. We said, okay, what do we want to do? And these people challenge you. They force you to think about your business, not just to work in your business, but also on your business. And for me, preparing advisory boards is always the best thing I can do to get new ideas on the business.
Mhm. How do you find people for your advisory board?
Yeah, you can do it in I'm using my network.
Mhm.
I try to go a bit broad. I try to find people that really match with each other, so have different visions. I also change it very often. I don't believe in having an advisory board for years. I believe in having an advisory board for maximum 3 sessions, where every 3 sessions you switch people and find people that can really give or challenge your current problems or growth challenges, because they change also along the way. It wouldn't make sense to hire a CEO of a company with managing 400 people if you're running a very, very small business. So yeah,
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for coming.
no problem. Welcome.
Well, and that's a wrap for today. If you want my one-on-one help to systemize your Amazon business and build the right team, make sure to check out the link below. In our next video, we are going to break down what 8-figure Amazon sellers understand that others don't. I will share 6 key lessons from the trenches that come from experience and an understanding of what it takes to scale an Amazon business to 8 figures. These aren't just some tips you've heard 100 times before, so make sure to watch it now. See you next week.